And shifting focus, the wait is finally over. Apple has opened its first store in India. The first store has opened in Mumbai, and there'll also be a second store that will open in Delhi on the 20th. The Apple Mumbai store is opened at BKC, is inspired by the iconic Kali Pili taxi art, whereas the Delhi store has taken inspiration from Delhi's many gates. But why is this really big deal? The stores will let you have a touch and feel of its latest products. The Apple Store experience, you get to experience real working products with preloaded content. But then the question will be, what has really caused the delay in the launch of this Apple Store? Until now, Apple hardware, including iPhones, was available for purchase from Apple premium resellers, which is basically a third-party store such as iWorld, Future Retail and others. These stores had to acquire a license from Apple to sell devices. The company also launched its online retail store a few years ago. While Apple has been wanting to launch its stores in India, the country's FDI restricted it from doing the same. India allowed 100% FDI on single brand retail. However, there was a mandate that 30% of the sourcing should be done locally. The government of India relaxed this clause in 2018. The opening also indicates a clear intention as far as expansion and manufacturing for India is concerned. Apple has said that the new retail location marks a significant expansion in India that will offer great new ways to browse, discover and buy all these products for the consumers. Let's play out some ground reports. News 18's Debashish gets us the ground report from the newly inaugurated Apple Store.
So we have entered the Apple Store over here, the first Apple Store in India, Apple BKC at the Bandra Kurla complex, the Jio World Drive Mall, and this rush is insane. And there's a lot of people that is standing out there to enter the store and get a glimpse of the first Apple Store. So right now, this is the main entrance. I've just entered the store, and the first thing I'm going to see is the iPhone area. You'll be greeted with the latest iPhone 14 range, the iPhone 14, now iPhone 14 Pro series, and not to forget, there is the yellow iPhone 14 as well. So this is the first. This is entirely the iPhone area, as you can see, and you go to the next table. There is another range of iPhone as well. So you get to see the latest iPhones over here as well. You get all the colors. So if Apple is selling something, that product will be there at the Apple BKC store. It will. If you don't find it over here, perhaps you'll not get it in anywhere else as well. You know, I'll take the camera around over here. As you can see, you get the older Apple phones range as well. You have the iPhone 13 series, the 13 mini, and the SE as well. As you can see over here, all the color ranges are there, whichever you want. And there is another aspect I want to share over here about the Apple Store is that you see that some devices are slanted and some devices are straight. And there's a reason behind that. Everything Apple does, there is a concrete reason. It just doesn't do anything like that just because they want to do something. The reason this device is straight and this is slanted because according to the store lighting, they want the customer to get the best experience of the device. So basically, at this device, the angle, the tilt is basically adjusted as per the store lighting. So that when you walk in straight, you get the best experience. Like always with every Apple store, the product is the hero. And Apple makes all the effort to ensure that, you get the best of the technology. And talking about that, as you can see over here, of this side of the store, this is slightly slanted like this. Simply because, again, you won't see any reflection of the lights above on the phone. I mean, that is like paying attention to the design. And like I mentioned previously as well, the table, anybody, a little kid, somebody taller, somebody on wheelchair, everybody can access this table and they can have a feel of the latest Apple product that is out there. And I mean, like, look at the place. And you know what? Another interesting thing is the audio. Look at the crowd. Look at the maddening rush that is out there. But still, you will be able to talk to each other pretty easily, and you'll be able to converse with the Apple Store executives as well, because there is some amount of sound absorption happening as well. What's the USP of this store? Many of you are saying that, why will I go to this Apple Store at BKC? There are so many Apple resellers out there in the country. Why go to an Apple BKC or the Apple Socket that is opening up in Delhi on the April 20th? Well, the answer is simple. The store gives the real Apple experience.
So why is the store opening such a big deal as far as India is concerned? I have a very special guest now joining us. We have journalist and digital creator Rian George now joining us, and he's in fact joining us from Sydney. Good to have you with us here on the broadcast. Now, many are of course saying that, it's taken so long for the Apple store to finally open in India. Why is it such a big deal?
Hi, Ridhima. I'm so happy to be here, and I have to say that as a tech geek, this is a super exciting day. To answer your question, I think that tech geeks from all over really kind of are excited that it's finally here because no matter where in the world you go, whether you're in London or New York, whatever your tourist itinerary or your business itinerary is, I think everybody makes some time to go to one of these iconic spots where the Apple stores are located. And now we have those bragging rights in our very own city. Like, you can go to BKC and just walk into an Apple store, whether you're shopping or not, just to get that Apple experience, or walk into, the store in Delhi just to get that experience, whether you're shopping or not, So I think it really is a big deal.
Yeah, of course, the Apple experience, and you would know this. You've looked at a lot of Apple stores across the world. You've had a meeting with Tim Cook as well. Just help us understand what each Apple store in different country tries to bring. Because I've been speaking to a lot of people who had a sneak peek for the Apple store in Mumbai, and they said the fact that you retain the Apple experience but also have a sense of India-ness, that's the kind of experience that customers will now be able to have.
I think the Apple experience is standard and uniform across the globe, no matter where you shop and in what language you shop, and whether you're shopping or not. I think that quality and that level of service is something that they assure you, which is why that there are so many fanboys and girls around the world. And I think you kind of summarized it already by saying that it is like a very international standard store, but it still has that Indian element and Indian aspect. And it's nice to see, it's nice to see the little design elements that Apple has brought to the Mumbai store. And, most importantly, little initiatives like Today at Apple, which will be very centric towards art and culture in India and Mumbai. So they're really contextualizing it, which I think is it's a really interesting initiative and a great deal.
Now, the big question that everybody wants to understand is, considering the fact we won't have to ask our relatives from the States or elsewhere to try and get us all those Apple products, will pricing actually be different now? Will we get these products for much lesser? Is that something that's on the anvil?
I can't comment on that quite honestly, but I have to say, given the trends that observing the trends over the past couple of years, I would say that the prices have been largely the same, So you don't really, over the past couple of years, I've never really had to ask any relatives to buy me that iPhone in September or a new iPad or anything and carry it from America. By the time you kind of go to that store in America and like take some transport or something, you kind of balance that price out, if you know what I mean. So I think the prices are largely standard across the globe, give or take a few thousands. So I think that's the price point is definitely not something to worry about. You kind of, and I also find the standardization after Apple started retailing on apple.com last year to India.
I also want to now just understand, as far as the entire store experience, we were just talking about a short while ago, but what is the responsibility of various companies when they're opening or when they're looking at store locations as well? For example, if you just look at the Mumbai store, many are also calling it an art piece because, a single glass has been used for the entire store. Even the staircase has been put in one piece. I understand it's been brought in from Europe. As far as, net zero is concerned, do you think even companies are becoming far more responsible of how they see a store opening, not just as getting a location somewhere in terms of real estate, but of what they represent as well?
Absolutely. And I think that's the future. And these conversations and these narratives are extremely important, especially for iconic global brands like the likes of Apple. And first of all, I think even location within a city is like makes such a big difference. For instance, you're having a store on, say, Regent Street in London, or on Fifth Avenue in New York, or on Union Square in San Francisco, and now at BKC in Mumbai. These are all spots that really are very culturally rooted to the existence of the city and to the very essence of the city. So location of the store, very important. Of course, decor is super important because at the end of the day, that's the customer facing part of the brand, and that everything that the brand stands for and everything that they want to kind of depict through their products needs to reflect in the store design and decor as well.